That toy. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Roaming Gomes. I'm Felix. And I swore to myself I was going to start filming these videos outdoors, but unfortunately, the weather here has taken a turn. And out here in the desert, we actually got snow. So, maybe next week. But today I want to talk to you about living full-time in an RV with pets. Now, rather than just rattle off a list of do's and don'ts when you have pets in your RV, I just wanted to tell you how we successfully, for the last 3.5 years, have traveled cross-country with our 3 pets. Now, when we first started, and I've mentioned this in previous videos, we had our RV set up in the driveway of our sticks and bricks. We already had our 3 animals, Hazel, Onyx, and Bucky. And obviously, we weren't going to leave without them, so we had to think through how we were going to let them adapt and adjust to living full-time in an RV. Now, we figured Bucky was going to be easy. He's a very easygoing dog. He's not real boisterous or runs around a lot. And pretty much if we're there, he's fine. However, our 2 cats, Onyx and Hazel, were a different story. As cats tend to be, they were very suspicious of anything new. So what we started doing was slowly adjusting them to being in the RV right there in our driveway. We would take them out, put them in the RV, sit there with them, maybe watch TV or something, or do one of the projects that we needed to do to get ready to go on the road, and just let them explore. At first, they were very hesitant and they were real troubled by living in the RV. But it didn't take long and they started to explore. Their curiosity got the better of them, and they were starting to look in corners and get up on furniture and jump up on the counter, which we've been able to manage to stop them from doing. And they got comfortable. So the next phase was for us to actually go on the road. Now, I know that there is no way, shape, or form that you should ever allow your animals to ride in the trailer while you're towing it. Not just completely putting aside the fact that something could fall on them and hurt them. They'd be terrified. It's like riding in an earthquake. And I'm sure you may have heard that before on other channels or from other people. It's like an earthquake back here when you're riding and going down the highway. So what we did initially was we put them in their cat carriers. And they were on the front seat, side by side, next to me, in our F-150, which we originally went on the road with. And again, I've talked about that in previous videos. When we got to Tulsa, I kind of didn't feel right about it. It just didn't feel right that they were riding in those little cat carriers all that way. But I still didn't have a solution. And granted, for me, it was really convenient. All we needed to do when we stopped was pick up the 2 cat carriers, carry them inside, put them down, open them up, and everything was good. It just didn't feel like it was good for them. They were kind of cramped. These are not tiny cats. So, when we got to Las Cruces, I contacted my son. Now, my son and his wife own two pet businesses, one which is a pet store, the other that is a puppy business. And I asked them, what would you suggest for traveling with the cats? Now, at this point, I had gotten the F-250 that I drive now, and it had a back seat. My F-150 did not. So my son and his wife sent me this. This is intended for carrying cats to shows. It literally takes up the entire back seat. It buckles in, and it was perfect and is perfect. I'm still using it to this day. It even allows me space to put a small litter box in there with them. And when we stop, to give them some water, and just, they feel much more comfortable. More times than not, they're just back there out cold, sleeping when we're on the road. Bucky was a different story. He travels with my wife in her car, and he is on the passenger seat, buckled in a seatbelt that clips onto his harness. So everybody's safe. The other thing we realized is that we had to come to know our pets. We had to know their personalities and what they were going to do or not do. For example, Hazel is our escape artist. She was that way even when we were in the sticks and bricks. If you left the door open a little bit too long, Hazel was gone. She always came back. But she would be out roaming. That was not fitting for us when we went to all these different places. I didn't know if she'd be able to find her way back in a strange environment. So we had to basically plan out every time we walked into or out of the RV. Now, admittedly, that has not always defeated her. She's managed to find her way out of the RV a few times, but again, she always came back. What we've taken to doing is when I know my wife is just about home from work, I'll put her in our bedroom. This was not an option in our first RV. I'll put her in our bedroom and close the door. As soon as my wife walks in the house, we open the door and Hazel's back out roaming free. More times than not, she just stays where she is on the bed. The other thing I came to realize, and this was when we came to Tucson for the first time, was that I needed to understand the environment that I was taking my pets into. Now, the cats don't go out. Bucky does. So here in Tucson, we have to think about things like rattlesnakes. There are coyotes that wander consistently right nearby out here in the desert. Sometimes you can hear them at night howling like they're right in your backyard. There are javelinas that need to be thought about. So I had to be wary of when I was walking him. And of course, there's always the cactus, which you don't want your dog going up to pee on the cactus, if you get my meaning. So I've actually been able to teach Bucky the word cactus, and he will divert from any plant that I tell him is cactus. He'll start towards it, but then as soon as I say, cactus, he turns away and walks away. Again, back in the old RV, and of course, now in the new one, we had to come up with creative ideas for the litter box for our cats. In the old RV, I put it underneath the bed storage, which was divided, and the left side of it was for the litter box. I cut a hole, they took right to it. In this RV, I've done this. I've placed it underneath the bench in the dinette, and it's out of sight. The entrance actually looks pretty cool, and the cats go in and out with no problem. If you think creatively, there are no reasons why you can't have your pets with you in your RV full time. The cats, yeah, they don't have the amount of space that they had in our sticks and bricks to run and play, but they've adapted. Bucky, little funny thing about Bucky, and this kind of goes to getting to know your pets really well. He will not play with this toy unless he's inside. I have tried innumerable times in various pet parks to try and get him to chase the toy, and he won't even think about it. Inside, no problem. He'll run and get it and bring it back, and run and get it and bring it back, and that's just him. The other thing you need to do is when you get to a park, you got to know, one, what their pet policies are. Not everybody's going to have a Chihuahua that's only 10 pounds and really nobody is going to be scared of. So if you're going in there with a pit bull or a German Shepherd or a Rottweiler or one of the larger breeds that are termed aggressive, know ahead of time whether or not the RV park you're going to is going to accept those dogs. Know whether or not they have a dog park. Now, in my review of Cactus Country, which is where we're staying right now, I talked about how large the dog park is. And it's huge. But it's generally taken up by very large dogs. So I really don't let Bucky go in there. Not a big problem for him because he really doesn't care. He'd just as soon walk on a leash. But know ahead of time, if you've got a small dog, whether or not they have separated parks for small and large dogs, like we had in Albuquerque. It's really very simple if you take the time to think about it and apply common sense. And that's all I got for this week. Until next time, I'm Felix. This is the Roaming Gomes. Don't forget to do what the t-shirt says. And I hope that you are able to experience less worry and more wonder.